Hi, Professor. I'm Sahaja Priya, and my teammate is Satyasai Priya. Now we are going to give presentation on next slide. Risk assessment of additional works in railway construction investments using the base network. Next slide. Let's start with the introduction. The process of building large-scale infrastructure projects that meet long-term development goals in the long run. The most important investment from developing the idea to getting the object up and running can take a long time. Risk refers to the things that could happen during the course of a project implementation, while risk mitigation refers to the steps that are taken to lessen the risk impact. A well-chosen risk management strategy that take into account all possible risk helps to make sure that the planned construction investment is done on time and on budget. Next slide. The risk of having to do more work can have a big effect on the construction project. These are the result of number of things that no matter how careful the investor is when developing a building project, that can lead to an unfavorable situation that requires a change in the assumed design and the associated procedural, organizational, or technological remedies. In order to figure out what causes this type of work to happen and what its effects might be, you need to look at all the data that is available, ask experts for their advice, and figure out how likely it is that certain things will happen during the project. Next slide. Coming to the framework model for the risk assessment method, the identification process should be done as thoroughly as possible, taking into account all contexts, circumstances, and situations that are unique to the subject at hand, as detailed in the methodology. In addition, the IEC risk management risk assessment procedures can help in the process of figuring out what risks there are by describing the most common ways to find hazards and figure out how to deal with them. The standards content includes a list of 31 approaches that are broken down into groups and given a rating based on how useful they are at solving the problem. The best way to deal with a risk is based on the risk characteristics and the specifications of the situation. Next slide. The authors used structured or semi-structured interviews to find risk using Bayesian statistics and Bayes networks to look at this risk, and use the consequence or probability matrix method to look at the risk for the scenario they chose. Next slide. Here is the identification of the risk of additional works in railway projects. Afterwards, five people who work on the construction of railway infrastructure in Poland, they were interviewed one-on-one and face-to-face. The experts were chosen by the author, and the research was done by the phone. Each answer was chosen to represent a different company. The study looked at people who worked for a big construction companies and had a lot of experience, seniority, and practice. That who has experience in directing projects like this. Next slide. The findings were shown to an expert who has the most experience and seniority in the implementation of railway works, who was not involved in the study. The average probability of risk factors exceeding 60% and the probability of a type of extra work exceeding 10% were shown to the subject matter expert. Following a thorough investigation, the expert's subjective assessment did not always include all of the possible outcomes. However, this was deemed to justified and accepted after the investigation. It was decided that the cases would be used to build the proposed model. Next slide. Coming to the risk analysis, Bayesian statistics and the Bayes network method, people use the Bayes network method when they are trying to figure out how much risk there was, because it is probabilistic and can be updated with a new information from experts or from the previous data. Next slide. Creation of nodes of the Bayes network. In Bayes network, the correct structure is based on how the nodes in the network connect to one another. Various methods have been used so far, and they change based on the number of factors, such as the characteristics of the thing being studied, how much data is available, and how difficult the problem is to solve. Many researchers also say that relationship building on the internet is a process. Next slide. Because the subject has never been studied the Bayes network, the authors don't have a main network to work with. Individual node relationships were made with help of interviews, research, and the author's own experiences. When looking at the risk of more work, relationships will be used to think about what might happen if something happened that isn't expected. Next slide, please. Coming to assigning event probabilities to show other nodes that have a reciprocal interaction, the conditional probabilities which are based on the chain method that must be used. This means that authors have to think about all possible sequences of events and figure out how likely each one is. It takes a long time to figure out how likely each event is. It is very important to know what is going on and being able to change it. Next slide, please. So coming to the performing calculations, creating large network requires a complex programming to set up links and assign probabilities to nodes, that which can be difficult. Formula is the name of the Bayes theorem, and the formula 3 is the name of the conditional probability theorem 3. Um, so P of A or B equal to P of B or A into PA PB by PB. There is a chance that A will happen if B event B happens. There is also a chance that B event will happen if event A happens. As you can see in the figure, P of A by B is equal to PAB by PB. If event B happens, P of A by B means that there is a higher chance of event A happening. The next slides will be continued by Sai Priya.
Thank you, Sahaja. My name is Sai Priya. I will continue next slides. Coming to the risk analysis, the process of identifying, assessing the possibility of concern to might have a negative influence of significant business efforts or project is known as a risk analysis. This procedure is carried out the order of assess the companies in a way to mitigate the hazards. Considering the probability of unfavorable concerns ensued the natural process such as a strong storms, earthquakes, and floods, as well as the adverse event caused by the deliberate or human activity while conducting the risk analysis. Identifying the potential form of from these occurrences as well as chance to they will occur in essential aspect of risk analysis. The signature of risk analysis, like business and other organizations, coming to the analysis of these are four stages to affect the and efficiently secure the information assets, and the organization must understand the risk connected to the uses of the information systems. In a variety method of risk analysis may assess the company to improving its security. Organization can utilize the result of risk analysis and depending upon type of scope of the analysis to detect the assess and compare to the total financials and organizational efforts of risk to the organization, and decided to the next action to remove the weaknesses and increases the security, identify the security and gaps of determining, and next measurements to eliminate the weaknesses of strength security. These are improving communication and decision making process in a relation to the data security. Coming to the creation of nodes of Bayes networks. Bayes networks are perfect for forecasting the chance of any one of numerous potential known as counts contribution of event to be occurred. In this network, for example, might be used to illustrate the probability between Illinois illness and symptoms. The network may be used to calculate the chance of being the present being of based on symptoms. In this network, efficiently algorithms may be based on these are networks model sequence of variables. Another method is a structural learning is the optimized based structure. It need application of both scoring system and search strategies. Coming to the assigning event probability, the probability is defined as the integer between 0 and 1. How does a probability value and accuracy become assigned? There are three options to doing this. The method based on personal opinion, approach based on relative frequency, the traditional method on the page. Each strategy, the method most significantly forward practice, but it also least dependable. You might be call it as whatever it is to you strategy. Some insurances as well as the 80% of likelihood of rain today, so that forecast by the 200% of 50 possibilities to the work oil supplies is in this 1% of chance making tournaments. Uh, Coming to the performance calculations, these theorem which connect to the conditional probability of two occurrence conditions to each other is this essential relation to use it to construction of these networks. We can compute the probability of accuracy of these networks applying the theorem of series of events. And creation of huge networks involving the sufficient programming, it's exposed of formulas. Coming to the risk evaluations, these are making a list to users assess their rank of in order to importance, and considering the all data software progress, and identify the asset, finding out those assets are coming to for this list, and sort of your assets into the category. Sort each asset into the following categories: public information, sensitive international information, and non-sensitive internal information, and comparational internal information, and regulated information. Coming to the event scenario analysis, these are must attend to any operational risk practitioner looking branch to benchmark their work, and fantastic opportunity to learn everything compared to the operational risk manager need to know. In this risk management requires an analysis of both management and monitoring. Rare event qualifications does not have a guessing game, and solid quantitative background is not necessary to be required. Coming to the risk mitigation of proposals, in this general suggestions using risk mitigation handling methods, these alternatives are based on calculated mix the risk likelihood of occurrence of severity of these certain applications may be project and programs. Coming to the summary, these networks might be utilized to look the effect specific event scenario. The user may evaluate the alternative approach to avoid risk, assess the influence of cause creating greater work on part of network, or decided to sufficient level of experts, such as increase in the worth financial research to the result of additional labor, and utilize the network. The proposed model is simplified from a authors-based networks, which will be utilized to look aspect of risk future studies. The author also intended to network learning using fresh information gleaned to expert opinion or a past data, examining the extra structured compared to the risk assessments. Question and answers, any please. Thank you.
Thank you.